And I'm Patrick Simon. First tonight, a suspect has been arrested after a robbery on Charleston's west side this evening. The bodies of two women were found near the 70 block of Boys Lane near Grapevine Road in Sissonville this afternoon. You're taking a live look now at the scene. Kanawha deputies tell us two women, the mother and daughter, were found apparently deceased for months. A volunteer firefighter has been arrested for DUI after a Kanawha County deputy says he hit their cruiser. Deputies say this man, 28-year-old David McGuire of East Bank, had a BAC, blood alcohol content, more than twice the legal limit. West Virginia may be about to fix a major flaw in its election system that has denied certain people the right to vote. 13 News reporter Jesse Schaefer spoke with investigators today, learning more details and why they say proper training prevented even more loss of life. Mola Lange reporting there. The House is expected to vote this week on a package of spending bills to reopen most of the government and provide $1 billion in border security funding, but not the wall. The Senate will not vote on that plan because the president says he will not sign it. New information tonight about the devastating impact of opioids on our teens. This from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. The number of children and teenagers hospitalized over the last 15 years due to opioid poisoning has nearly doubled. And most adults getting treatment for opioid drugs started using illicit drugs before the age of 18. While various forms of drug treatment are being offered, tonight our States of Addiction series continues as we follow three at-risk teenagers going through a 22-week military-style program in West Virginia to try to turn their lives around with a healthy dose of discipline. If you ever get annoyed about those slow drivers in the left lane who won't move over, well, you might just love a proposed law in the West Virginia legislature. Delegate Gary Howell is pushing a bill to make that illegal. Under the bill, if you impede traffic while in the left lane of a multi-lane highway and get caught, you could face a $100 fine for the first offense, a $200 fine thereafter. Howell says the bill is about safety and driver convenience. And if you're on my Facebook page, there's a lot of chatter about that bill. So maybe dogs are just good at being motivated by treats and belly rubs. Well, whatever the case, they are still man's best friend. Now, I got to say, my dogs, when they just heard that, they just texted me. Oh, yeah. Because they're that smart.
What were their thoughts?
And they say, don't believe that study. The cats are just trying to stir up trouble. They were behind that study.
We understand the capacity crowd here at the Civic Center is like 13,500. This place is just about filled up right now with 2 hours to go before the president speaks. And Mark, as you know, all eyes across the nation are looking at the U.S. Senate race featuring Republican Patrick Morrisey, who gets the endorsement from the president tonight, and Democratic incumbent Joe Manchin. So Team Morrisey really needs a big boost from Team Trump tonight. All right, Mark, looking forward to more of your coverage tonight. In the meantime, if you've seen these types of Trump rallies across the country, you know they are attended by thousands and thousands of supporters, but there are also plenty of opponents. And we have a number of them outside the Civic Center right now, and our team coverage continues of the president's visit with our own Adrian Robbins, who's listening to the voices of the people. Adrian.
Welcome to a special edition of 13 News. I'm Pat Simon. We're 75 West Virginia veterans from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam travel from West Virginia to here, Washington, D.C. It's a chance for them to see their memorials that were built in their honor. For many of them, it's one last mission. It's also a moment for them to reflect, to share their stories, and to heal. This $500 million ship was going to be built, but it didn't have a name. Yet. Until his grandson got involved about 3 years ago, made some calls to Congress, and then last January, the announcement came from the U.S. Secretary of the Navy. The USNS Herschel Woody Williams would finally be official.
I don't know that I can ever fully express how deeply I feel about this honor.
Well, Jennifer, this is obviously not the outcome that Richard Ojeda wanted in losing tonight to Carol Miller, the Republican in the race, you the Democrat in the race. What's your message to Carol Miller and as we go forward here?
Well, you know, I want her to do her job.
A lot of skiers getting ready for this. And don't forget, Mountain State skiing will also be available in Canaan Valley, Timberline, and Winter Place in the coming weeks.
We can't wait.
Yeah, there you see the lineup out there. Folks are about to kick off their annual 2018 Winter Wonderland of Lights Parade. Visitors coming from all across the country to see all of those lights.
Just in time for the holiday weekend, maybe.
No doubt. And some football, too. And there's no love lost with some teams this weekend. Nearing the holiday season, kids are starting to fill out their Christmas list with all the games and toys that they can ask for. But for some kids, All they want is a good pair of shoes, and that is where Rack Room Shoes is stepping in. Each year, the store collects donations to buy Chamberlain Elementary students a new pair of shoes. And today, teachers and administrators got to walk through the store and pick out a few pair for their kids. In total, Rack Room donated almost $4,900 worth of new shoes. So what a wonderful thing. All those kids are going to get all those shoes in time for Christmas. A perfect night to have a parade, the Christmas Parade of Lights here. We were just talking to Bill Bissett, who's the president of the Huntington Regional Chamber of Commerce. Bill says over 100 entries will be here tonight. We're talking bands, folks. We're talking about tons of lights. A lot of organizations getting involved. Jennifer, as you know, Huntington is really, really a great city to host such a great parade. It's going to be a fun time tonight. And by the way, if you need some hot cocoa, some hot chocolate, right over my shoulder right there, Huntington's Kitchen, free hot chocolate until 6 o'clock tonight. That's why the March of Dimes is so important, to give a fighting chance for every baby. In fact, one West Virginia family had to lean on this important organization, not just for the birth of their child, but for their entire family's survival as well. We just found out the official date of the renaming of the VA hospital in Huntington for West Virginia World War II Medal of Honor recipient Woody Williams. Just got this from his grandson, so save the date. Sunday, September 9th is when the official dedication and name change will take place, honoring this deserving hero, and we will be there. The full name of the hospital, Herschel Woody Williams VA Medical Center. Congratulations again, Woody.
Well done. You can catch it right here on CBS. Romo's my man.
Yeah, Romo finally gets to a Super Bowl, huh?
Ooh. I love it. Oh, wow.
No, he
that's
didn't.
okay. My wife's a Cowboys fan. She'll understand the humor, or I might be out in the doghouse tonight. But a night like tonight, I'm in serious trouble.
It's going to be tough on him, by the way.
Think for a moment about the top historic events that happened over the last 100 years. Now imagine living through each one of them. Tonight, we introduce you to a one-of-a-kind hero who's celebrating a major milestone, 100 years in the making.
The old general says, "You probably will."
As we observe Veterans Day, there is new hope for treatment to help veterans who are battling with PTSD. Tonight, we're working for you with real solutions, and veterans are finally beginning to heal. Loy Nelson recalls the stress of being a combat medic in Afghanistan.
Things just kind of kick in and you go into action, and that's kind of how the ball rolls there. And that involved, actually finding IEDs, getting into some small arms fire here and there, a lot of indirect fire from mortars and rockets.
But while he was busy saving fellow troops, the horrifying images and multiple deployments started taking a toll on him.
More than 6 decades after the end of the Korean War, the U.S. is preparing for the remains of at least 200 of its service members killed in that conflict to finally return home. And some tri-state families are hopeful that their loved ones are among those soon to be repatriated. Well, tonight, we introduce you to one of those families from West Virginia who has been waiting a lifetime for closure. Inside their family home in Sissonville, Joe Chandler and his wife Juanita sit and wait for Joe's younger brother Teddy to come home.
We was always close with each other,
The last time Joe heard his brother's voice,
I told him to take care of himself.
You know, that talk.
And
the kind of stuff big brothers tell their little brothers.
And
when it may be their last talk.
Try to come home safe.
That last goodbye was almost 70 years ago. And that's when Joe was on his way back home after serving in Germany, while Teddy was heading out to fight in a new war, Korea. Private Teddy Ray Chandler joined the Army just a day after his 18th birthday in July of 1950. North Korean forces had already invaded the South Korean border, and Teddy Chandler and the 35th Infantry Regiment were thrown into the worst of it right away. By November, his company lost ground along the bank of the Chongchong River. Eventually, their lines of defense failed. It was the worst loss of American lives in the Korean War. Very few survived. Back at home, his mother, Mary, held on to hope.
She looked so much forward to thinking that he would make it back. He would come home one day.
At first, Teddy was reported missing in action, but then presumed dead. His body never found.
She passed away and never knew about it. And she always thought that she would find out something about it.
But she didn't.
No, she didn't.
Time is also running out on Joe. He's 89. the last survivor of 7 children who grew up with Teddy. After all this time with no answers, Joe wonders if his brother, who served in what's often called the Forgotten War, was himself forgotten.
I feel that they did go over there and try, but they got what they could get and bring back, but then they just quit.
That was over 12 years ago, the last time Joe heard from a group searching for Teddy. And while the process of recovering remains is still very slow, it's improving. Here at the new Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency in Hawaii, the largest forensic anthropology lab in the world, researchers sift through remains of missing service members using DNA to match and return them to loved ones. This process also depends on the relationship between our country and the host country. In Teddy's case, we're talking about North Korea, which up until recently has been very cold.
Thank you.
But now that appears to be changing.
We got back our great fallen heroes.
A recent agreement between the United States and North Korea cleared the way to return more remains of American troops. Do you have hope?
Yeah.
For Joe Chandler, that news, after all these years,
makes you
of tears,
makes you sad,
could finally help bring closure.
But, you know, it is something that you always look forward to, and it, you know, to bring him home and put him away.
And make sure he is not forgotten as they sit and wait. And now
I pray for him every night.
Pray.
I know God can do anything. And if it's meant to be, I believe he will bring him back.
Back to his family.
We just have to wait and see.
And Joe.
I can just tell him how much I missed him.
To give a formal goodbye his little brother and hero, Teddy, deserves. If Emily Lilly could tell her younger self, that little girl right there, second from the right, how her life would turn out, she would have to start with...
I wanted to do something different.
Quite different. She had degrees from college. She had spent 10 years at a great-paying retail job. She had 2 younger kids at home. Yet Emily just up and quit.
Things change as you get older.
To serve her country.
Children change you. So when my children were 2 and 3, I decided I wanted to do something that would make them proud.
Up until a few years ago, military service was the farthest thing from her mind. But something clicked.
I thought, well, I want to be one of those people who goes out when there's a disaster and help the people in my community.
Her brave grandfather, Army First Lieutenant Douglas Thrift, served in World War II. So why not follow in his footsteps or boots?
My grandfather was an armor officer. He commissioned as a cavalry officer from VMI in 1936 because he loved riding horses. Right. So getting to be with a Cav squadron to me was like, okay, well, that's as close as I'm ever going to be to what he did, but that's really cool.
But then, at the time that she joined, she had heard that more combat jobs became available.
So then when they opened up armor to women, I immediately called the squadron commander and I said, I want to switch. I want to rebranch to armor. What do I have to do? And he said, I knew you were going to ask, so I'm already looking at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she didn't stop there. Here's the part of that talk with her younger self where she would say she would make history.
1, 2, 3, Ranger! 1, 2, Ranger!
At 38 years old, First Lieutenant Emily Lilly became the first female National Guard soldier to graduate from the elite Army Ranger School.
They say at Ranger School you come closer to God because you have nothing else but you're just you and God, and that's it. And so I said, please don't give me anything more than I can handle.
That same day, wouldn't you know it, she was given an extra heavy backpack to climb the highest mountain.
And I said, well, either he's got a really good sense of humor or I'm capable of a whole lot more than I thought.
Well, she survived and graduated, proudly displaying her new Ranger tab. How proud are you of that?
Oh, unbelievably proud.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's forging a path, not only for women, but for all of her soldiers to follow.
I came back to my unit and a lot of the younger guys were like, yeah, I want to do this. And I was like, absolutely. Just think, if it ever gets really bad and it sucks really bad, just think, a 38-year-old woman just did this. You should be able to do it. You won't die. You won't actually die in the school.
Oh, and one last note to her younger self, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I think the bigger you dream, the better the reward when you do actually accomplish it. and there's no reason to sell yourself short because you'll be able to do so much more than you ever thought you were capable of.